This story contains disturbing themes, violence, abuse, and if you're sensitive to this kind of content, it's better not to continue. Many people asked me for horror stories, so I searched for one that combines crime and fear. So today's story is about a house where a lot of terrible things happened. I won't spoil everything for you. Come with me now, and let's see what happened in this house. The house we're talking about today became famous as one of the most haunted houses, and it's considered the scariest house in the United States, specifically in New Orleans. I'm not sure if I pronounced it right or wrong, but it's fine. Forgive me. No, I think it's right. But the question is, how did the story of this house begin? Why did it become terrifying? It began with a doctor named Dr. LaLaurie and his wife, Delphine LaLaurie. Not Dolphin, no, Delphine. These two were extremely rich and influential. They weren't just wealthy. They were well connected, and their status in society was huge. Delphine and her daughters were known as the most beautiful in the city and the most elegant. Delphine and her daughters, stylish and pretty, lucky whoever gets to know them. And they always hosted gatherings at their home. Their house always had people. Every day a party, every day an occasion. And the guests who visited were from the city's elite. And they had nothing to talk about except the house. Look at their house. How beautiful it is. I've never seen a house like this in my life. Then the wife would turn to her husband at night like, "This is not the house I live in." Nice talk, right? Nice talk. So why is everyone talking about the house? Is it really that beautiful? Yes. This house was very beautiful. It had 3 floors, and all the doors were wooden, carved with roses and patterns. The carving was all done by hand. The house was very classy. Plus it had big halls full of candles. You'd enter and feel like you never want to leave. And Madame Delphine always spoiled her guests, especially those who praised her. So everyone spoke about her generosity and kindness. But what those guests didn't know is that Madame Delphine had another face, a dark side, a terrifying side no one knew about. A face filled with cruelty, madness, and sadism. Seriously? The owner of this beautiful house, the one who invites everyone and people praise her generosity and kindness, she has a cruel, terrifying face like that? Yes, and even worse than that. Listen with me. The backyard of the house was filled with enslaved people, and those poor souls were always beaten and humiliated by Madame Delphine. She would hit them and insult them brutally to the point that the cook working for her, she would tie her to the oven. You see the oven? Tie her to the oven so she works. Imagine one of you working as a cook, tied to the oven. That's not a cook. That's a police case. And only a small number of those poor enslaved people managed to escape from that hell, from that house they were living in. Of course they'd run. Who could stay? All this was happening to them. And generally in those days, late 18th century, people viewed enslaved people as personal property. If you had an enslaved person, it was considered part of your belongings, like your car or your watch. You had the right to do whatever you wanted to them. May God curse them. But even so, the law in that area supposedly forbade harsh treatment of enslaved people, and they didn't approve of abusing or humiliating them. So what happened in that house happened quietly, and nobody knew. But the neighbors were suspicious. They would hear screams coming from the house, people screaming, people in pain. And they noticed the servants changed constantly for no reason. There was never a stable servant in that house. Every day new faces, and some of them would disappear. The neighbors would see a servant, recognize them, memorize their face, and then a few days later, gone, just vanished. Then one day, a neighbor heard screaming from Madame Delphine LaLaurie's house and saw her chasing a little girl with the whip in her hand. She caught the girl, her personal servant, and forced her to climb up to the roof. And as soon as they reached the top, The girl fell from above all the way down and died immediately. After that, they took her and buried her near the fence inside the garden of the house, meaning even the one who dies in the house doesn't leave it. She gets buried inside it. What kind of house is this? That neighbor, after seeing everything, went straight to report it to the police. So the police came and decided to confiscate the enslaved people from the LaLaurie family, take them away, and then sell them at a public auction. But Madame Delphine wouldn't stay quiet. Delphine wouldn't stay quiet. She was watching from afar, so she gave money to one of her relatives and made him buy them at the auction and return them back to her. A devil. So stories of her tortures spread throughout the whole city. She lost all her neighbors and friends. Nobody attended her invitations anymore. Everyone said, "This woman is messed up. She tortures people. We don't want her." But until then, people only had suspicions, except that neighbor's incident. And of course, there were no phone cameras back then to expose everything. Anyone could deny it. Then, in April 1834, all those suspicions were confirmed and turned into reality. On a nice day like that, birds chirping, sun out, a huge fire broke out in the kitchen of the LaLaurie house. Most people at the time said the fire was deliberately set. They claimed the cook started it because she got sick of the torture she was living through. So yes, people said the cook was the one who burned the kitchen. But what they saw with their own eyes was something that tears your heart apart. A kitchen fire means they had to call the firefighters. When the firefighters arrived and put out the fire, they discovered a hidden secret passage that led upstairs inside the house. The secret space was behind a door. When they opened that door, they were shocked by what they saw. Inside the room, there was a large group of enslaved people, men and women, chained up, and their condition was heartbreaking. Some were placed in cages meant for animals, specifically dogs. Some were tied onto tables, and they found human parts, heads, human heads, internal organs, everywhere. Up there looked like a slaughterhouse. And the disaster is, they found some human parts placed on shelves like souvenirs. They also found a variety of whips, the whips used to torture people. And as I said, those who weren't tied to walls were tied to tables. Some women were horribly mutilated. They found someone whose mouth was stitched shut, and when they opened the stitches, they found filth stuffed inside. Imagine, mouth stuffed with animal waste and stitched closed, like an animal. And some men were in horrific conditions. Fingernails ripped off, eyes removed, sensitive parts cut. God protect us. They found a man hanging on a hook, the kind used to hang slaughtered meat, hung from his head. So many were dead, and some were unconscious, and some were screaming from pain, begging to die so the torture would end. That kind of torment. People gathered outside the haunted house and demanded the authorities take revenge, execute the LaLaurie family, hang them publicly. Honestly, execution felt too light for what they did. But unfortunately, no legal action happened. Nobody did anything, because the family suddenly disappeared. Madame Delphine LaLaurie and her family vanished. Rumors spread that she fled with her family outside the city, and those rumors make sense, because she was no longer in the house. Where else would she be? Of course she ran. You think the horror ended here, right? No, my dear, you're wrong. The horror didn't end here. The horror just started. After the family fled, stories of ghosts started spreading. The house was sealed for a long time by the state authorities, and it remained abandoned. Neighbors began hearing screams coming from it, and they claimed they saw the ghosts of enslaved people walking inside. In 1837, someone bought the house, but he couldn't stay more than 3 months
because of the strange sounds and screams he heard every night. Every night, he heard weird noises and screaming from the rooms, so he decided to rent it out. But no one wanted to rent it. In the end, he abandoned it. After the American Civil War, the house was renovated and turned into a girls' high school in 1874. After that, it became a community center. Then later, an English teacher turned it into a school for music and dance. And you're an English teacher. Why are you turning it into a dance and music school?
But the school only attracted children of wealthy, prestigious families. Then everything fell apart. Why? Because that English teacher was accused of harassing students. And during that period, when the house was a school, many reports appeared about physical assaults on the girls. Girls would come crying with bruises on their hands, and sometimes their skin looked scraped and torn. When teachers asked them who did this, they all repeated the same thing. A woman did it. One girl saying it, okay. Two girls, maybe. But many girls said the same thing. Some people said the girls were playing pranks on each other. But if what they said was true, if a female spirit caused those injuries, do you think it could have been Madame Delphine LaLaurie's spirit? Why not? Years later, they found the body of a man from a wealthy family who had been secretly living inside the house from the late 1880s until he died in 1892. He was found dead on his bed, next to a bag or wallet full of money, and when they searched his bed, they found more money hidden underneath. After that, the house stayed abandoned again. In 1895, during the big immigration waves to America, even though rent was very cheap, nobody could stay there. Everyone who lived there said they heard terrifying sounds and saw ghosts at night. One person who rented the house said he saw a black figure, naked and stripped, trying to attack him. Then it disappeared. Honestly, that sounds like a harasser, not a ghost. What do you mean, naked and attacking you? Others claimed they saw animals being slaughtered, children being whipped with the same whip, strange fingers appearing, and many people said they saw a woman wearing elegant clothes, holding a baby. Later, the house became abandoned again. In more recent times, they found bone remains and some graves linked to enslaved people who were tortured by Madame Delphine LaLaurie, discovered in the backyard. And today, in our time, the house is turned into a hotel where anyone can rent a room and stay. So the question remains, is the house still haunted? Was it ever haunted? Or was it a story made up just to attract people to the place? Marketing. We're used to Americans. If they want to sell a place, they say it's haunted, and everyone rushes to it. But nothing prevents the stories from being true either. Still, the ghost and naked spirit part, I personally think those were made up. That's my opinion. And your opinion is yours. Write your thoughts in the comments, because your opinion matters to me. Nice talk. And here we reach the end of our story today. I hope you enjoyed it. If it's your first time watching me, don't forget to subscribe. And if you're one of my longtime supporters, don't forget the like and turn on notifications so you get everything first. And in the end, I tell you, I love you all. May God grant you health and wellness. This was your brother Fadi. Goodbye.